So you have someone who's a very experienced rider, but is also crazy on his motorcycle at all times, taking a 6-month rider with his learner's license across Canada on 2 rickety motorcycles that barely run anyways. It was a pretty good recipe for entertainment, I would say.
And then in the morning we tried to ride the 20 kilometers to Blind River, and I made it about 5 before the bike just complete failure and kind of started smoking and stopped.
You got towed a little bit?
Yeah, so then Jason hooked me up to his bike and towed me the remaining 20 kilometers to Blind River on just straddling the white line on the side of the road.
Oh my God.
About 75 kilometers an hour.
How are you feeling now? Are you so sad?
Sadness hasn't kicked in. We're kind of in the mode of how do we get home right now.
We were all heading out for a buddy's bachelor party up in the woods, a few hours out of town, and my bike broke. I don't know, it's always broken. And this guy, he just offered to let me use his bike, and he's like, I got an extra bike. Do you want to just take it? He was on his bike and a couple other buddies, and he rode up to the cabin. That was my first road trip too. My first time on the highway on a motorcycle. I was on this guy's bike. And that's when I started seeing him just riding in the ditch. We'd be on the highway, and I look over, and he's just in the ditch. And just riding on the ditch with this crazy grin on his face on a bike that just has the most bent wheels ever. And he's just passing everybody in the ditch and back on the highway, mud everywhere. And pretty much knew we were going to be friends.
Yeah.
Right from that point.
Yeah. Why would I want to ride an old motorcycle across North America? Why wouldn't you? It's the dream. I wouldn't want to ride a nice bike. That would be boring. Everybody can do that. I want to ride something that I put my hands all over, that I'm, when you're on the highway doing 110, you got that in the back of your mind, like, did I tighten up that front bolt? Is that tire gonna stay on? That's exciting. That makes fun. And you pull up to wherever, in front of some old saloon or some campsite or some old bikers, and you walk away from your bike, and you know that they're looking at it going, what the heck are these people up to? And to know that you can fix it. It's an old bike, it can be fixed. You don't have to worry about computers, you don't have to worry about fancy things like windshields and fuel injection. It's just your face is in the wind, and you don't have to go that fast to have fun on these bikes. And you can kick them, and you can spit on them, and you pee on it if you want to cool it down. And it's an old bike. And to do that across Canada has always been a dream. I've done little trips, but never something this long. And then to get to the end of it and go, oh, I did it. And to have that bike still there, and however many pieces you make it back with would be kind of cool. Then you can kind of hang it on the wall, or if it's good enough, do it again. Yeah. Everything can be fixed. I wouldn't say we're making them better. We're making them something. So I'm talking about this bike? It's in 1986 Suzuki Savage. They gave it that name for a reason. It's a single cylinder 650, so it just vibrates and thumps and it's loud.
Cowie was always the one at the gas station doing repairs very quickly. I remember him burning, like melting his boots off on the engine because both of his foot pegs broke off and he couldn't ride with them, so he had to switch and then ride his feet on the frame, which basically describes that bike in a nutshell. Like, it would keep going, but little crappy things would break all the time, and it was just kind of amazing that it took that much abuse. I mean, he went through like a couple engines and stuff, but you know, the bike's still going. It was amazing. Well done, Suzuki.
And it's kind of been my baby since I bought it. I put a lot of my heart and blood into it. Got a few scars on myself from cutting it and working on it, but yeah, fun bike. And so I've had that for 7 or 8 years now, and since I bought it, it's been through many changes. Choppers, cafe racers. Yeah, I ride it like it's a dirt bike. It's a full street bike, street tires, but I jump it, I raced it, flat track, I've done hill climbs, just beat it up, and it's never fully quit. I've had corks with it, but it kind of bugs all my friends when it just starts every single time. No matter what I do to it, it'll always run.
Cut a shot of us on the highway and your bike won't start.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to tell you more about Blake's KZ 440, but I've never seen the thing running. So I never really got to ride with Blake very much, mostly because I think all the bikes, he never really had his full license until... Wait, should I? I didn't have a license on the trip. Yeah. Am I allowed to say that on the thing?
Yeah, I kind of fell into the motorcycle thing by accident. I BMX'd almost my whole life, and one of my friends had his BMX stolen. He didn't have the money to buy a new bicycle, and I kept having repeated back injuries from the thing, and I kind of asked him, like, do you want to trade my bicycle for your motorcycle? And he agreed. So yeah, that's how I got the 1980 Kawasaki KZ 440, and it's kind of funny bike. It's, I would say, maybe more so designed for women, not as 6'2", 200-pound guy, but to me it feels like my BMX. It's small, it's really maneuverable, it's just a blast to ride.
So it was fun. I think even the day before was probably the most complete I ever saw the thing, other than the photos, and at that point it still didn't have any parts on it. It was just frame and engine, and I said, well, good luck, boys, and I went to work. So you have someone who's a very experienced rider but is also crazy on his motorcycle at all times, taking a 6-month rider with his learner's license across Canada on 2 rickety motorcycles that barely run anyways. It was a pretty good recipe for entertainment, I would say. The best part of it for me was that the week before, Blake had a Honda Goldwing that I thought was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, obviously Blake's going to take this Goldwing on this trip because it's running well. It's meant for these kind of things. No. Because there was no money, like, again, there's no 100% thing on this trip. There was 0 money for the trip, so he had to sell the only bike that was probably going to make it to literally pay for the rest of the trip. That last day, I remember walking into the garage and expecting, because I know these guys, like, they've been working for 2 days straight, like, not sleeping, trying to get these things going. And I remember walking in the garage and like, all right, well, I'm going to see the bikes, like, everything's going to be good. And I don't think it had changed in a month. It looked like everything was just parts still. And I was like, so you guys are, like, postponing this a week, right? Like, you're not going to go. It's like, no, we're leaving tomorrow. Like, it's happening for sure. And I remember trying to keep as optimistic as possible, telling him, like, you could do this, like, this is for sure you could do this. And in the back of my head, I'm like, there's no way any of these bikes will be running the next day. And I remember Blake specifically asked me, he was like, hey man, so like, what do you think of this trip? I was like, I think it's a great idea. It's gonna be so much fun. You guys are gonna do well. And he's like, no, but like, in all honesty, like, what are your actual thoughts on this trip? I was like, oh, you guys are nuts. I was like, it's not gonna work. Like, none of your bikes are still in pieces in the ground. I can't believe you're even thinking about leaving right now. And then I had to go home and go to work. And I remember getting a text at like 12:30 being, hey man, we got the bikes going. We took them for a little test drive, and I'm sure they're fine. We like rode out on the highway in the pitch black. They're like, the lights are a little dim, and things aren't working here and there, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And sure enough, they took off the next day.
Have you ever met Miss Lindy? She's a gal with the bright red hair. Now she stands out from all the rest. You know her anywhere. Well, she's mine. Yeah, she's mine. Well, I love that little girl with the bright red hair.
I think the best part about the whole trip was that there was no plans. The plan was to get as far east as they could, which is Newfoundland. Let's just see what we can do every day, blast as far as we can go. About $1,200 each in their pocket. Newfoundland was the destination. If we get there, we get there.
She's so fine. Well, Miss Lindy, my Miss Lindy. Well, I love that little girl with the bright red hair.
So, the first two provinces, I don't know if anyone else has been through Saskatchewan and Manitoba, but it's pretty flat. You just want to get as many kilometers under your belt as possible. Just fly through as much as you can until, Blake's battery decided to blow, and about halfway through Manitoba. That resulted in Cowie with a ratchet strap, I believe, or a tow strap attached to Blake's bike, riding in the dark until they could find a place to pull over on the side of the road.
Well, she's mine. Yeah, she's mine. Well, I love that little girl. She's so fine.
We're all towed up to Portage la Prairie. Bike won't start. Some sort of battery issue, hopefully not charging issue. Yeah, so we're gonna try and mooch a place to stay in Boston Pizza and then go find a battery in the morning. He's a good tow driver.
So,
What's her name?
batteries fixed after getting to Portage la Prairie, and feeling relatively optimistic, trying to head into Ontario. The guys cross into the Shield, I think it is, in Ontario, anyways.
Hey now. Hey now. I thought I was going in. Woo.
I was getting texts from Blake saying that his fuel consumption is terrible. He was getting maybe 100 kilometers to a tank.
She's making me have to pee real bad. Hard to sleep. It's cold.
So I remember when Blake and Callie were first, they were switching out the rear wheels to see what they could do with like different tires and all this kind of stuff. And we're switching the rear wheels in the garage, and we put it on, and like something wasn't lining up right. Like there was not. It was almost like we were missing something, but they didn't know what was going on, and we figured it was like, okay, well maybe it's just because of the new tire and all these kind of things, and put it back together, and it seemed relatively fine. Turns out a couple thousand kilometers later, nothing was fine. They had missed a spacer, which was also funny because Cowie missed a spacer on his wheel as well, so they had ended up burning through bearings, which caused a lot of metal going everywhere and catastrophic failure, and a good, I think it was like a 5-day break when they were in Quebec or Ontario to get new parts. All because, you know, we have massive piles of bike stuff in a garage, and we didn't know how to put things back together.
So I took a picture of the bearing numbers.
What happened to your tire, Blake? Hey Blake, what happened to your tire?
Bought it at a junkyard.
And?
Sucks.
And your blue bearing. But we're getting one in Montreal.
After the guys got the wheel bearing and stuff fixed, they ended up making it to Lake Superior, and it was the first time in a few days where they sounded like genuinely happy to be there. It was sounded like a beautiful spot that they were camping at. I think they rode down like a walking path to get there onto this beach, and then they just started ripping their bikes up and down the beach with new wheel bearings that they had just installed. You know, also smart.
It's so funny. Look at him pull.
But I'm nail clippers, so we'll be okay. Right way. Brake with my sprocket. Drive with the brake. Tire Super Hawaii.
Bonjour.
Where'd you lunch go?
So after camping at Superior there, they ended up making it down to Montreal with little to no issues. But basically, in my opinion, I think it was a really good break for those guys. It was 5 days that set them back, but it was a nice time to sit and just kind of recool and recharge the jets. But Cowie, because of his spacer, had to fix the sprocket and the chain on his bike. Blake also needed another battery because his terminal kept breaking off. And they were waiting on parts, so it was 5 days of just sitting and waiting.
I honestly think that, like, this is more difficult than framing a house. Goodbye, pants. Buongiorno. Oui, oui. Bonjour. Au revoir. Do you want a hand? Polishing that tire. Because we're going somewhere. On foot. Because we screwed up. We both forgot to put spacers, the same spacer, in both of our bikes. Somehow magically made it to 3,200 kilometers. Yeah. Winner, winner, no spacers for dinner. Installed.
Tape on there?
Smell your armpit? Oh gosh. Don't know. Woo! Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Thumbs up for my finger binger.
Give her figure.
Yes, it's my favorite answer. I took a dancer home. She felt so alone. Stayed up all night in the kitchen, doing my dishes on and on till the dawn. She said, I know.
Where does it come from?
had to order a new sprocket for Blake because of the wheel spacer as well, but it was gonna be an overnight part. And they ended up running into these group of hooligan dudes called the Ditch Diggers who had some pretty rad bikes. They got to spend the night with those guys and ride around with them a little bit, and I think it was also nice to hang out with some other people too.
What's a good number? Like F10, F2?
I remember hearing from them in they finally got to the coast, and I was absolutely blown away by it. I can't believe you got a 440 and a Savage to the coast in the condition that they were in, and with how many breakdowns they did, and I can't believe they were able to fix these things on the side of the highway as many times as they did. But all I kept thinking as soon as I got to the coast was, well, now you guys got to make it back, and your bikes have already been through all of these horrible things, and they're already worn down. So this, that leg is gonna suck. And I mean, yeah, it turns out it did.
We're going for a swim?
Fix my bike.
As soon as the guys got to the coast, it was a pretty cool moment for both of them. I know they had to turn around almost immediately because they had to go pick up a timing chain for Cowie's bike, because since about Ontario, it has started making a ticking noise that got worse and worse and worse, and they had to end up fixing it, so they had to go pick up this chain.
you want to reserve yet?
Yep.
The backtrack 3 times.
They come out golden yellow, right?
It's gonna come out custom metal flake. What if I'm just here not actually turning anything? Oh,
Those magnetic drain plugs?
oh goodness. It's just,
Grit?
yeah.
As days and days and like weeks went
That's
by,
weird.
it was like you could definitely tell a tone in the text where it was like the optimism had slowly left every single week that I was getting. It was just like, well, we're gonna try and make to this place, but it's not gonna happen. Slowly we're fixing everything during the day and we have to ride at night so we can't see anything. And it just seemed like this, like it was just a struggle to get anywhere. And you know, I'm still trying to stay relatively positive for these guys to make it through.
You gonna film this entire process?
Yeah. Nothing else to do, right?
I'm gonna be here for a long time.
You can tell us what you're doing.
I'm going in the engine more than I ever have. I'm doing my cam chain placement.
What's wrong with your cam chain?
Well, it's stretched more than my patience after many nights of no sleep.
Take my name out of your paper, Jane. I've seen something that forever changed the game. Forgive me, love, for the blame I sent to thee. All the fingers I pointed that really pointed back at me. This fighting, this unsettling stir, I see it now, I surrender. Let the dust settle, let go of the pedal, there's too much.
We're 170 kilometers east of Sault Ste. Marie, staying at an antiques barn. Last night the bike started knocking really bad. I think it might be a spun rod. So we're gonna go west as far as we can, see how she does, and maybe buy a car.
I don't think it's spun rod. I think it's got a flat tire. Where are we?
Blind River.
And what did we just go look at?
A 2006 Pontiac Montana minivan.
And how did we get to Blind River?
Well, you see, the KZ died completely today. Slowing down. I was just going as hard as I could. And it was just like, and it just started like, all the noises changed. I was like, and then like smoke started coming around my legs, and I'm like, and just smoke pouring out from the engine. And then just like, I touched the clutch for a second, and
I'm like, why did Blake pull over, man? We were doing so good there for like 2 minutes.
so we needed a car, so we went to Tim Hortons after Cowie told me down the highway, the 25 kilometers on the white line, which was sketchy.
75 kilometers an hour.
75 kilometers an hour. We made good time.
It's 15 under the speed limit.
So we went to Tim Hortons and tried to find a car for sale. Couldn't find anything on the internet. So we decided to go for a walk, and the first place we go was a mechanic shop, and it's closed because it's holiday Monday. And there's a guy in the back. I'm gonna go talk to him, and he takes us to car place where this guy lives, and there's just people walking all over the place, and goats and sheep and chickens and dogs, and yeah, so he's got a $600 minivan that I think we're gonna buy and try to drive 2,800 kilometers in that tomorrow.
How do you feel about your bike?
I'm pretty bummed. I feel bad for it.
For putting it through what you did?
I feel like I killed it.
No. Are you gonna try to fix it?
Let's see if I get another motor for it, put it in there. Take that one apart, find out the starter broke it. Wouldn't that be funny?
I've got a pot of gold hidden out beneath the snow on a hill above a lake. There's a place I sit and wait and think of the things I should say when I'm with you. When I looked,
Yeah, it's like
I realized that the dog
But like, did the bolts
was
fall off?
still
Yeah, there's no bolts in it.
So we took it to the vet, and they opened up her side. And when they took the tumor out, it was flowering. I wrote the thought of you between my fingers, like try to glue.